There's a lot of videos out there talking about solitude and I don't have any friends and all this kind of stuff that kind of glorifies it or make it seem really great to live alone. And it can be. I've lived alone for many decades, but there's three things that I really dislike, and one of which terrifies me. Let's talk about this. What made me start thinking about doing this video and really got me going with it was I ran into a friend I hadn't seen the other day. She told me that her husband had a stroke. She said she was watching TV. He was in the kitchen making some lunch. Next thing you know, he comes out of the kitchen. He's mumbling, not making any sense, and kind of wandering and looking confused. Well, real quickly, she knew to call 911. He'd had a stroke. And I'm not lying when I say that damn near gave me a panic attack. Just the thought of it, just speaking about it upsets me. That's the number one thing that terrifying is not too strong a word for me to use when I say living alone. That terrifies me. The idea or what could happen, a medical emergency, like a stroke, heart attack, this kind of thing, that's what keeps me up at night and terrifies me about living alone. Nobody likes to talk about it. And the truth of the matter is, you can have a husband, wife, spouse, whatever, and they're not home and something happens. I can really get spiraling if I get in my head worrying about having chest pains or the stroke or somehow slip and fall and hit my head and I'm unconscious. I can go down a whole terrible rabbit hole worrying about this stuff. I don't think I'm the only one out there. What can I do to mitigate it? Well, one, if I start getting really panicky over it, and I've had panic attacks before, I get myself outside. I will do tapping, something physical to reconnect myself and reground myself. I'll get outside, even if it's late at night. If this starts happening, the spiraling, I get outside. But realistically, what I can do, I carry my phone with me almost all the time, even when I'm showering. It's in the bathroom. I just try to have it within reach. If I don't have the phone, or sometimes even if I do, I'll usually have an Apple Watch on where I can also call for help if I have to. But, this is a realistic possibility. We're living creatures. The truth of the matter is the most dangerous thing I do, probably, what you do too, is get in the car. How many thousands of cars are coming right at us? If one of those drivers is shouldn't be driving for whatever reason and moves over a few inches, you might be done, but that doesn't stop me from driving. So I don't want this to scare people, but that's probably the number one thing that freaks me out about living alone, especially as I get older. It can happen to anybody. We'll worry about choking too. That's another big one. The number two thing that really stinks about living alone, not having any kind of partner, is you've got no backup in case of the real big financial emergency, the furnace going out, trashing your car, this kind of thing. I worry about that, not all the time, but again, it can spiral and get down a rabbit hole. Of course, when you live alone, you got no backup. Nobody's going to support you. Nobody there to say, don't worry, I got this. I've got a job. We can survive on my paycheck for a little while. No, it's just me. If something goes wrong, that's it. I'm the only one that I can depend on. I try to mitigate these things by having good insurance, a little bit of extra care stuff on the appliances, even Nugget, my dog. He's got insurance as well. There's nothing worse than being at the vet in the middle of the night with an emergency and they want, $5,000 to be able to save your animal. So I've got insurance on him. I try to do what I can because I am single. I don't have the extra support. I try to have the insurance, try to have a savings, but we all know how life goes. You get your savings up to a certain point and life is almost guaranteed to whip a curveball at you, and there goes the savings, but I try. Those are the two things. The number three thing is it's not necessarily something happening to you, but it's not having somebody to share the experiences with, even the really good stuff. There's nobody there to kind of go through the journey with and then laugh about it later, reminisce. There's no witness to your life and experience. You know, sometimes you have friends with you. This really hit home a number of years ago. I was in Costa Rica on an amazing vacation that I took by myself, and I was out on a catamaran on the Pacific Ocean. Dolphins were swimming by. It was absolutely amazing. The sun was starting to set a little bit, and I was really, really aware. I mean, it was so gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, heavenly. And I was really aware, though, this sadness came over me because I was by myself. There was nobody to turn to and be like, oh my God, look at that sunset. Yes, there were other strangers on the boat. We were all talking. There was no special somebody with me, or even a friend for that matter, to witness this, that we could talk about it for years to come. I got a tattoo of a dolphin here on my wrist. And I got that because it reminds me of that time. We were on the catamaran, and there was a naturalist telling us all about the animals and birds and things that we would see. And she told a story, or facts, I suppose, about how dolphins, they live in a pod, and when there's a birth, the dolphins gather around and they protect the mom who's having the baby. They protect her from predators and keep her safe. When one of the dolphins in the pod is sick and not doing well, maybe even getting near death, the pod gathers around and makes sure that dolphin is safe to get up to the surface and get air if they need to, or just try to heal. The pod protects them. And they basically are never alone, and they have protection in their pod. And that really just kind of struck me. So I got this dolphin tattoo to just remind me of that beautiful time, and just mentally kind of be like, you know what, as much as you're alone, you're not really alone. There's a lot of things out there talking about how great living alone is, and it is. There's trade-offs no matter what path you're on in life, and you've heard me talk about we have to play the hand that we're dealt. I'm single, that's the way it is. I just wanted to keep it real, though, and talk about these three things that really can get to me sometimes living alone. So let me know what you think. If you have any ideas of ways you combat this, or what kind of feelings you get, let me know. Feel free to share down in the comments. I appreciate you all so much being a part of this journey. The channel has grown unbelievably, and I absolutely love it. I am so grateful. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day.